Why Nintendo really hates Smash Bros.
Decided to cease and desist.
We're saddened that Nintendo has chosen not to continue with that
A
legacy.
cease and desist order from Nintendo of America.
Why does Nintendo hate people playing Smash competitively? I mean, companies like Riot or Blizzard spend millions trying to create a competitive esports scene, but Nintendo seems to actively work against the competitive Smash scene. What gives? As I went down the rabbit hole trying to find the answer, I thought maybe Nintendo just doesn't like competitive games. Most of Nintendo's games are party or family games, so Nintendo just doesn't want anything to do with games that could have an esports scene. But then
I have really no idea why Nintendo is trying to like suppress the whole esports scene for Super Smash. This has been going on for like 20 years, you know, like since Super Smash Bros. Melee came out with the OG GameCube, you know. Once Super Smash Melee came out, the GameCube was no longer a GameCube. It was a Super Smash Bros. Machine. All right, the Smash Cube is what me and the boys called it for many years. It's like, hey, you're bringing the Smash Cube? Yeah, you know. But for us, it was like the PlayStation was the DDR machine, and the DDR machine slash the Guitar Hero machine, and the GameCube was just the Smash Cube because one of my friends, Kyle, he had his GameCube, and I don't know what happened, but eventually his open button didn't work, and we tried to like knife the little thing open or whatever, and we just couldn't get it open. So we just left Super Smash in there, and it was dubbed the Smash Cube because the open button would not open, but it still worked, you know. It didn't matter what angle you carried the fucking GameCube in, because you know it had that handle on the back or whatever. So just carry that shit around. It's like, got the Smash Cube? Yup.
I found out that Nintendo themselves puts on tournaments for games like ARMS and Splatoon. Nothing fancy, but they are Nintendo-sponsored tournaments. Okay, maybe Nintendo doesn't want people playing certain games like Smash competitively, possibly because competitive players make casual players feel intimidated. And so
No. This is so stupid, man. This is fake news. This is something that developers try to say because their main audience is like are like generally children for video games, all right? Like, I don't know, 12 to like 24 or whatever that age bracket is. Like, God forbid there be like a competitive scene developed somewhere within that age bracket, because that's not how conventional sports goes, you know? Like, if I see someone playing like professional baseball, I'm not intimidated by them. I don't want to like verse them or whatever. Or like if I see like people playing football, it's like normal like football fans. Like, but like, what do you mean intimidated by? It's like, is like a pickup league of like football players supposed to be intimidated by like a professional team of football players because someday they could like get good enough and like it's like the mental gymnastics that Nintendo is doing to try to suppress the Super Smash scene from like competitive esports is hilarious.
So a competitive scene will influence casual gamers to not purchase Smash. Well, that's not true either. The two most competitive of the Smash titles have performed better in sales than their less competitive counterparts. Smash Melee was the best-selling game on the GameCube, and Smash Ultimate has sold almost 30 million copies.
Yeah.
It's the third most purchased game on the Switch.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, like he said, the two most competitive or relevant Super Smash Bros. Titles are Melee and Ultimate. Melee, because of the raw gameplay and how fast you can do shit and how complex it is. You know, the skill ceiling is pretty high at the top level. And then Ultimate, because even though it might not have that like tippy top Melee style skill ceiling, there's a massive amount of characters, and the skill ceiling is like just high enough to be like entertaining to play and watch.
Where Brawl and the others were lower down on the charts. Alright, so this just doesn't make sense. Nintendo supports some competitive scenes, and the Super Smash Bros. Brand has brought in billions of dollars, with certain Smash titles rising even higher in the charts if the game was more competitive. Why then does Nintendo not support and many times actively work against the competitive Smash scene?
Yeah.
Well, to understand the rocky relationship, we need to go back to the beginning, when Smash was created over 20 years ago by Masahiro Sakurai. In 1996, Sakurai was asked to come up with a few game designs for the N64. One was an RC robot adventure, and the other was a fighting game that he called Dragon King. Sakurai ended up choosing the fighting game Dragon King because it would take less time to develop. But as the development of the game progressed, Sakurai realized that he wanted to make Dragon King a slightly different type of fighting game than what most people were accustomed to at the time.
ありません。コンボ重視のゲームが
As fighting games became more combo focused, the less room there was for strategy. If you didn't know the combos or you were new to the game, you'd likely end up just staring at the screen while you got beat up. Instead of inputs alone determining the outcome, I wondered if we could make a game for more interplay and improvisation. It almost seemed like Sakurai had designed Dragon King as an antithesis or opposite to normal fighting games.
When Smash
Bro, that looked like if Tekken went into like Super Smash Bros. So that kind of looked like.
Bros. Melee was released,
Oof. Again, the common controller player sitting there on the couch just chilling.
it was intended to be a party game.
Oh my god.
Something your family could play together.
With the game design
Yeah, one of the things that made Super Smash Bros. Really like attractive and like marketable is because of the phrase easy to pick up, hard to master. That phrase right there, plus really good gameplay, just set it off. All right, that was the main thing.
established and approvals in place, all Sakurai needed now was the roster. But Sakurai didn't want to throw players into a roster full of characters nobody had ever seen. Seeing
Right.
characters you know is always more fun. So Sakurai persuaded Nintendo to let him borrow their most popular characters, and Dragon King was changed to Super Smash Bros.
Bro, this was so good when it came out. Oh my god, I remember having an N64 and playing Super Smash Bros. On N64. It was so good because the commercials for this were like so good. It was like there were like people in these like costumes or whatever. So you'd have like Donkey Kong, Pikachu, Mario, Yoshi, like on the TV, and they were just like beating the shit out of each other or whatever. And then at the end it would be like play Super Smash Bros. Or whatever. And I was like, as a little kid, that set it off for me. I was like, I need this game. I need this game, Mom. Can we get this game? Oh my god. So good.
Smash 64 was released on January 21st, 1999, defying the odds and rising the charts. Nintendo, of course, was ecstatic, so Sakurai was given the green light to develop another iteration of Smash for their upcoming console, the GameCube. There's a problem though. It's 1999, and the GameCube was coming out in 2001, a year and a half from now. Somehow though, Sakurai does just that. Melee was a masterpiece.
Oh
and
yeah.
Sakurai, a god among men. The game was a hit the moment it was released, and word quickly spread on who was the best Smash player around. Gamers who loved Smash and rose from being the best.
Bro, I wish I could go back to this time. Like when Melee first dropped. Oh my god. How old was I? I had to have been like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14, maybe middle school type era, age. Oh my god. It was so good playing Super Smash Bros, dude.
In their neighborhood to something more. Why did they care? Why did players travel across the US and across the world to play Melee? It wasn't for the money, that's for sure. They did it because they loved Melee, and they had found wonderfully crazy people just like them who loved Melee too. The Smash community grew to a point where people all across the US were competing. Tournaments went from basement brawls to local events became established tournaments, and finally established tournaments caught the eye of Major League Gaming. They picked up the game, and Melee tournaments where thousands were being played around the United States. It felt like Melee was on top of the world of esports and would never stop growing. Surprisingly, up until 2008, Nintendo never really intervened in competitive Smash. Esports weren't a big thing at the time, so most game developers didn't really care about their competitive scene. Developers were usually...
You know what's funny? Is like the problem with esports today is the developer having too much power and oversight over the competitive scene, and them raking, like, not wanting to share any money with the competition, like nowadays, or not the competition, like the competitors and like everything. Whereas back in the day, at least for Super Smash, it was the exact opposite. Like, the developer wanted nothing to do with the competitive scene. But, the players, they got all the tournament winnings, but, it was hard because if you're a player and like, was it like game organizations weren't really a thing back then? Like, you got to do all that driving or like airplane flying or like riding a train or whatever. You had to do all that shit yourself out of pocket. So you had to know, like, if you're driving multiple states just to do a Smash tournament, you better bring the heat, dude. Like, dang.
To focus on creating the next game in line. However, unbeknownst to the competitive Smash community, Nintendo did care that people were playing Melee competitively. They cared a lot. We just didn't know it yet. When Brawl was released, the competitive community was thrilled. More characters, better graphics, an HDMI port, everyone was excited. But as the weeks passed, something just wasn't right. Sadly, the competitive Smash community became heavily segmented with the release of Brawl. Brawl replaced Melee in most competitive tournaments, but many of the pro Melee players disliked the gameplay of Brawl and stuck with Melee.
So,
essentially, what happened when Brawl came out is the game was slowed down immensely. Like, if you could watch like any professional like Melee tournament like match or whatever, the characters just move around like so quickly because of all the tech that they're doing. I forgot the names of it all, but you can just see it. If you compare like a Brawl match to a Melee match, the Melee match looks like it's happening almost twice as fast or whatever. Whereas for Brawl, it's like, it's more simplified. The skill ceiling isn't as high. Granted, it's probably easier to watch and to know what's happening on the Brawl side, but the Melee side is just like enthralling. Even though you might not know like what the hell is happening on screen, it's just like, it's like an anime battle, more or less.
so slow, not what we expected at all.
We tried to make it fun, I guess, but after a while, after a few months, it became clear that like the engine was just designed to really, really reward defensive play.
There's just like little room for like combos, like exciting match play, whereas it's more like just like who gets hit less.
So the Brawl competitive scene never really saw the hype that Melee had in its glory days. Problems only worsened for Smash as Nintendo prohibited MLG from live streaming Brawl matches, flatlining any potential growth for competitive Smash. It seemed that Nintendo was hellbent on killing the competitive scene. One by one, tournaments were canceled or blocked. The pivotal moment came with EVO 2013. EVO put out a poll for what games people would want to see in the competition. The Melee community came out with a vengeance, raising almost $95,000 to fight breast cancer and beating out the competition to steal a spot in EVO. It felt like Smash would make a resurgence, but 3 days before the tournament, Nintendo sent a cease and desist to EVO. But people all over the world jumped to the Smash community's defense, making the cease and desist the #1 story on Reddit. Only after a few hours and an insane amount of backlash, Nintendo backed down and the tournament proceeded. But the
damn straight, better fucking realize what you're doing, Nintendo. And I'm not even sure, because like when he said Nintendo, I don't know if there were like branches of Nintendo at the time. Like there is like a Nintendo America that kind of oversees like all the stuff that happens in like North America or whatever, and it's like they kind of understand like what is happening because they can see everything from both sides, whereas Nintendo, like original Nintendo game company, they don't really see like the day-to-day like hype, like stuff happening, the tournaments, the support the game gets or whatever. So, I don't know.
The damage was done. Competitive Smash and Nintendo's relationship hit rock bottom. The world knew Nintendo did not want people playing Smash competitively.
Which is
Over
really
the years,
weird.
Nintendo would work on slowly rebuilding this relationship. With the launch of Smash for the Wii U, they invited top Brawl players to play the game in a launch tournament.
This was good for them to do this, like, because they clearly recognize that there are like some outlier, community members that are like really good at the game. They know the scene exists, and it's like, okay, this is a good like olive branch type deal.
They added a 4 glory mode to Smash 4 that had similar rule sets to the competitive community. They even supported a few tournaments like Apex 2015. But it seemed that Nintendo was really starting to care for competitive Smash with the release of Ultimate. Talk about an almost perfect game. The gameplay is tight and not floaty like Brawl or Wii U. Every character is here, and what is even more incredible is that every character is viable. And patches were released almost monthly, nerfing or buffing characters, showing that Nintendo was actively paying attention to competitive tournaments. The game was reminiscent of Melee with its competitive nature, but this time, Nintendo actually cared. Or so we thought. So it's the end of 2019, and the Smash competitive scene is rising in popularity. The Smash tournament to rule all tournaments is announced, the Smash World Tour. The tournament bridged all of the grassroots tournaments into one to determine who really was the greatest Smash player. But of course, as 22 rolls around, the pandemic hits. All tournaments are moved online, and the Smash World Tour is moved to 2021. 2021 rolls around, and we are still dealing with the pandemic. So most of the Smash World Tour is played online, with the finals being played offline.
Everybody knows if you're playing online, it's not like a real test of skill because everybody has differing levels of, input lag, just lag. There's so much lag, like 100 milliseconds of lag or whatever, 200, 300, and it's like, that's not a good measure of competitive like integrity when you have certain players that have like low latency versus someone that has like a high latency or whatever. So it is what it is. It still happened. So yeah.
Tournament to watch, but as most people know, Smash Online just doesn't cut it for legit gameplay, and many of the top players aren't in appearance. Finally, 2022 hits, and most of the pandemic restrictions are lifted, and tournaments are back in person. The Smash World Tour is in full swing with a 250,000 prize pool, but it gets even better. Another large tournament is announced, the Panda Cup, and to everyone's surprise, it's sponsored by Nintendo. 2 tournaments in 1 year, both with hundreds of thousands of dollars in winnings, and Nintendo is sponsoring one of them. Could it get any better? Competitive Smash, after 20 years of scraps, is getting its just reward. So 20 years of competitive Smash, and Nintendo finally supports the community seriously.
Do you know how long we've been asking for this?
Panda Cup, wow.
Only to destroy it in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
He can't keep getting away with it.
Why does Nintendo go out of their way to destroy competitive Smash? I can't say for sure, but I think I can shine some light on what may be happening. There are a few reasons why Nintendo may be acting this way, but one in particular that I don't think most people have considered. I'll talk about that reason last. Number 1, competitive Smash isn't Nintendo's target market. Although Smash is a highly watched esport, the majority of people that purchase Smash play casually, not competitively. So as a company, Nintendo has no monetary incentive to support the competitive Smash scene. Since Smash is
ultimately no, but what are you doing for the casual player base is what I would ask next. Like, you're going to come out with another character, you're going to come out with like some patch or some update or whatever. The casual player base is like, I don't know, here or there about it, they might see like, oh, new character, awesome. But other than that, they don't care about like the hot fixes, the bugs or whatever, the balancing patches or whatever. They mostly don't care about that, But I would say if your game has like some sort of competitive aspect to it / tournament scene, you want to convert those casual players into the more hardcore like base or whatever. Why do you want to do this? Because the more invested like a player is in a game, with their like perceived skill and whatever, the more likely they are, the more likely they will like buy stuff for your game. All right, because a lot of these characters or whatever, I don't think they're free or whatever. Maybe there were like a couple, but like I'm pretty sure most of the like new characters, like you have to buy them all, And like I think isn't this like an old character screen or whatever? Aren't there like a laundry list of like way more characters than this, all that have their own price tag? Do you think like every casual player is gonna buy every single character? Only Nintendo is gonna have that stat. But do you think the hardcore player is gonna have every character? You bet your ass they are.
is sold as a party game and not a competitive game. Number 2, Sakurai didn't want Smash to be competitive. If you remember, he created Smash with the goal of the game to not be restrictive. Sakurai himself said he wanted everyone to be able to win.
He wants everybody to win. So that's going to mean that's like a vague thing, you know? What is everybody? He wants everybody to win. What does that mean? Does he want everybody to just play Smash, get all the characters, and just have fun? I mean, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what he means by he wants everybody to win. But that statement, he wants everybody to win, doesn't really fit like a competitive scene. Everybody can't win in a competitive scene. You know, there's winners and there's losers. All right. There's only gonna be one winner. If you're not the winner, you're a loser. All right. That's how it goes. You know, and it's gonna be up to each person themselves to determine whether or not they want to make that journey. All right. And I think it's really cool that you can have that opportunity in a game.
And competitive Smash goes against this philosophy. Number 3, supporting the competitive Smash community is bad for business. This is probably the most discussed reason in the community because there's been some controversy. Many Smash players over the years have been known to say or do some controversial things. So Nintendo doesn't.
Oh yeah, as far as I know, there was like a whole fucking Smash Bros. Like, I don't know, like thing, like what do you call it? Like a purging or whatever of like all these like Smash players like coming out, and like it wasn't a bunch, but it was like a good amount. And they were all coming out with these like women were coming out, and there was like, oh, this guy sexually harassed me or in some way, shape, or form or whatever. And it was like a good amount. It did not look good for the Smash Bros. Scene at all. But I mean, you know, time goes by, and you know, new players rise up, and it's like for the most part, like a lot of the Smash players, they're like mostly young, like teenagers or whatever, 16, 17, and you know, like there's not a lot of like older like competitive Smash players. You know, yeah, there's probably a couple. For the most part, they're still like teenagers or whatever. So like, how smart are you as a teenager? You know, you're not smart at all. I was a teenager and I was dumb as fuck. Hell, I'm 33 right now and I'm still dumb as fuck. All right. But yeah, that happened. But I do think the Smash Bros. Scene is like getting like a little bit older, you know, or at least like the top player, like the majority of top players are. You know, and for the most part, I think they're pretty good. What do you call it? Like figureheads for the competitive scene or whatever. So I think that's fine.
Don't want to be associated with this type of behavior.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of YouTube videos where it's like Smash Bros. Rage moments where there's like players just like losing or whatever, and they like throw the controller, do like some fit of rage or whatever. And honestly, as like an audience, I think it's hilarious. This is like super entertaining to watch a player just burst out in rage or whatever. But as like a tournament organizer, a game developer, and as a probably like a competitive like player or something for like those groups of people, it's not a good look to like burst out in rage because you look like a child. You can't control your emotions. You look like a clown. All right. But the only thing it's good for is the audience because it's hilarious to watch.
And they sell family games. Before I hit on the fourth and last
Oh my god, did this dude just throw a punch? Oh my god.
main reason, I want to readdress that the anger towards Nintendo doesn't come from them being apathetic. They just didn't support the Smash community. That's their prerogative, and it makes sense using the arguments provided. However, Nintendo being outright aggressive towards the competitive community is what makes no sense. They have garnered an insane amount of negative PR over the years attacking competitive Smash. Way more negative PR than they would have received supporting the community with some misbehavior. So why be outright hostile for so many
Denied
years?
the handshake.
Number 4, Nintendo is old. What you need to understand is that unlike most video game companies, Nintendo is an old company, as in started in the 1800s old. What is even more
Jesus.
crazy is that the company has only had 6 CEOs, 4 of which span from 1889 to 2015. Basically, 4 men have determined the focus and direction of Nintendo for over 100 years.
That's crazy.
Unheard of. So what does that mean? Well, Nintendo is a company with strong ties to Japanese tradition. This tradition has had many positive effects on the company, including a commitment to their roots. Nintendo understands their target market and the games they are building better than any other gaming company. They aren't blown from trend to trend, unlike many American game companies who seem to jump on any trend.
Oh yeah, American companies love the new trend. They want that new hotness. 40% value, 100% value. Ooh, give me that value.
Trying to ride the gravy train and make a quick buck. However, the greatest strength of Nintendo is also its greatest weakness.
Yeah.
Nintendo does not budge from tradition to a fault. So when Melee was released and people treated it like a high-skilled competitive game, Nintendo and Sakurai saw this as a flaw, a mistake. Because remember, Smash was made to be the anti-fighting game, not its equal. And they
You know what could have happened? If they're like so traditional, Nintendo could have been like the company that started like a healthy version of competitive esports with Super Smash or whatever, you know, because like currently, like I said before, the developer of a game will control the entirety of a scene, and they will like intake a lot of the money or whatever, and the players get all the money or whatever, like, which is fine, but like it doesn't set up for like a good ecosystem for a competitive like organization or whatever. Nintendo could have like been like the first to set up a healthy, I don't know, framework for an esports scene. And I don't know, maybe they still can. Who knows?
wanted to rectify this mistake with Brawl. Sakurai put it this way: I had created Smash Bros. To be my response to how hardcore exclusive the fighting game genre had become over the years. There are 3 Smash Bros. Games out now, but even if I ever had a chance at another one, I doubt we'll ever see one that's as geared toward hardcore gamers as Melee was. Melee fans who play deep into...
I mean, that's easy. All you gotta do is just do a remake or a remaster, and then boom, there it is.
The game without any problems might have trouble understanding this, but Melee was just too difficult. As we can see, playing Brawl competitively was wrong in the eyes of Nintendo, so they sent cease and desist after cease and desist to keep people from watching what they deemed a mistake. Although it seems obvious to us that canceling these tournaments was just a terrible PR choice, to Nintendo, they were trying to make the right long-term choice of keeping Smash as a party game and not a competitive game.
Well, here's the thing. Smash is both, all right? If you want to have nothing to do with the competitive scene and you want to keep it as a casual party game, you can do that as a game developer. But you can't, you can't really control what, competitors are going to do. I mean, yeah, you kind of can with like the cease and desist or whatever, but like, that's like a public thing. You can't do this in public. You can't compete in public, you can't host a tournament in public, which is kind of funny.
I do think Nintendo saw their mistake in attacking the competitive Smash community.
Yeah.
They have worked over the years to repair their relationship somewhat. However, their partnership with Panda Global and the cancellation of the Smash World Tour shows they are still trying to control how Smash should be played. Nintendo partnered with Panda Global because they were a corporation like themselves, a corporation with leadership that needs to satisfy shareholders and quotas, where the Smash World Tour was being run by the grassroots competitive Smash community, people who don't fit the normal business criteria and aren't going to be regulated by a higher governing body and will be harder to control. So partnering with Panda Global was not a bad idea. Choosing to partner with another corporation that you feel you can trust makes sense. However, partnering with Panda Global and canceling the Smash World Tour in the same year makes me believe that Nintendo saw an opportunity to take control over the Smash community. Sad to say, but I just don't believe Nintendo and the Smash community will ever get along.
Yeah.
Nintendo is just too focused on people playing Smash the right way that they really miss out on the beauty of having people play Smash the wrong way.
A lot of people want, Nintendo to acknowledge our existence. If they pump some money into our competitive scene, it would be fantastic, a lot of people feel like. I certainly feel that way as well, but, you know, in that same sense, we're kind of weird as a game. We took Smash, this party game, and we made it our own.
I mean, isn't that essentially how every sport starts? Every sport in history has started out as a casual thing. And, you know, because people just wanting to, you know, flex on other people, you know, that's when competition is introduced, you know. Basketball started out in like barns, you know, with like a wicker basket with a hole cut out and like a ball. All right, casual, you know. Hey, it's casual. We're just throw some hoops, you know. Oh, your 5 farm guys think you're better than our 5 farm guys. Oh, let's ball up, dude. You know, could you imagine like 5 farmers from like a rivaling farm, like just ball up against some other farmers, to play basketball? Oh my god, that's got to be so funny, or whatever. Like soccer, like the world's sport, probably started out, or it did start out as like a casual thing because it's so simple. All you need is a field, 2 goals, and a ball, and some people that want to play. You know, that's all you need. Baseball, you need a little more equipment, but same thing. Field, 4 bases, and a bat. Let's go. Every sport starts off casual. All right, and it's the competitive scene that grows. Game. True. Good video. Fantastic video. Oh my god. This was awesome. I love Smash. Yeah, I mean, Nintendo still doesn't support like the competitive scene, at least in NA. I don't know what goes on in like other countries or whatever. It's most likely the same thing, but I mean, it's really sad because Nintendo does have the capacity to do like a healthy like version of like a Smash League or something, you know, call it whatever. But I don't know. Maybe they will one day. Maybe they won't. Who knows? But, you know, overall, I think it was a good video. It was awesome. I liked it. Super Smash still holds a little place in my heart. Yeah, I thought it was great. And I want to see some more from Going Indie. It was awesome. All right. So that's pretty much all I got to say. See ya.